podcast of the DMV. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about we and God we trust. Sir Rod and Lady Z. PTP. Positive thinking people. Positive thinking people. Positive thinking people. Every Monday night.
Every Monday.
Every Wednesday night.
Every Wednesday.
Every Friday night.
Friday.
Every Monday night.
Monday.
Every Wednesday night.
Every Wednesday.
Every Friday night.
Friday day
Every
night.
Monday night.
Monday.
Every Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
Positive thinking people. Positive thinking people. Positive thinking people. Good evening. Welcome. It's Let's Talk About It Wednesday. I am your host, Rodney Grimes, here on People to People. It's the People Podcast of the DMV. Yes, again, here I am in the home studio, handling my business. We got quite a few things being set up. We're just doing what we do. Today, the topic is handling your relationship. Your relationships. All right. So, a lot of times when I come on and I talk about different topics, it's things that I visualize throughout the day, or things that has happened that cause me to go into different thoughts and messages, especially when I don't have a guest. And so I then pray over it. And I just think about things that's really important for us to pay attention to, or to address. And so today I am actually coming to you to discuss handling your relationships. Okay, and so I'm going to write them down as I go. And the first relationship is going to be our kids. Okay, our kids. All right. I just want us to kind of just, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything. Basically, I just be talking off my emotions and things that I think are common sense. Please feel free to jump in and comment when you do. Hello there, Queen Rachel. How you doing, sweetheart? Peace and blessings to you. So, the topic is handling your relationships, but the first one is going to be the kids. And I want to talk about that because it is imperative that we understand our positions as the elders, the adults, the wiser individuals, the ones who should be making the decisions, the one who pay the bills, the one who have to get up in the morning and go to work, the one who have to help when somebody is sick, and so forth and so on. And so we knowing our position is really important to us. And so that means, like, in a relationship, you have a relationship with your children, whether they're your grandchildren, your niece, nephew, but I'm talking from an adult to the child. And it's really important that we understand in this time that we really be assertive on making sure that we're teaching them properly and preparing them for what's going to happen possibly in the future. And no, it's not one of us who are fortune tellers that really can just say what's going to definitely happen tomorrow. I mean, I know people have different gifts here and there, and I don't knock that, but I'm just saying on a real, when we talk about relationships with our kids, what your kids see is the type of relationship they're going to mimic when they get older. And we can start off with if talking about like if you are in multiple relationships with other people and your children see that your kids think that it's okay. They think that's the way it is. When my father came home from the military, the relationship him and my mom had was a rocky one because my father came home very aggressive from what I remember as a young kid, and it was just turmoil all the time, you know. And prior to that, the relationship that I had with my mother before my father came home from the war, man, it was nothing but love. And so I had developed all this passion because that's what I was getting. I was getting nothing but love and hugs and kisses from my aunts, daps from my uncles. You know, it was these relationships that I had that started molding me to be the man I am today. And even with the relationship with my grandmother and my grandfather, I remember the relationship with my grandmother was always educating me and preparing me to try to be a decent man and to be kind to people and put God first and everything. And my grandfather, the relationship I had with him was, you don't live around here, go back home. Don't come around here messing up my property that I work hard for. Because my grandfather was born in 1900. So you can only imagine the trials and tribulations of his life and the relationships that he had that put him in the position where he was. But one of the things that I knew about my grandfather is the relationship that I had with him wasn't to play with him. My grandfather wasn't to be played with. You don't go around there, don't disrespect him, don't carry him any kind of way, because my grandfather was not going to have it. My grandfather kept a shotgun in the closet, and as far as I knew, he was not afraid to use it. Okay. But the relationship that I did really get from, don't want you to assume that my grandfather was mean to me. No, he wasn't. He's very stern, but he was a God-loving man, and he was a family man because I saw him taking care of my grandmother. I saw him take care of my grandmother and some of the grandkids that live with him. So my grandfather was a pretty decent man. So the relationship that I got from him was a relationship of respect. So what I want you to think about is when we dealing with the kids, what kind of relationships are we sharing with our grandchildren or our children? You know, if a man is coming in the house and he's calling his wife the B word or calling the H and just calling her out her name, and they see a toxic relationship, what happens? The kids have this vision of, this is the way people communicate, this is the way they treat each other, these are the relationships that they're used to seeing, and they mimic them. You'll see your kids when they're playing with their dolls. Sometimes, you know, if the kids seeing you have sex, they'll take the dolls and put the dolls on top of each other, and you be wondering, how in the heck do they, why they doing that? That's because they saw some of the activities in your relationship. Or you'll see your kid talking and using profanity or something of that nature, or call it the male doll is beating up the female doll because he see those type of relationships. Or you'll see the they taking the dolls and they letting them kiss and they walking and holding hands because these are the relationships that they see and they start to mimic. Well, hello Angela, how you doing? Peace and blessings to you. So the topic today is handling your relationships. And when I say that, because we won't talk about different relationships in different areas, but I'm talking about kids' relationships right now. And when you get the kids and allow the kids to disrespect you, have them to dictate what they're going to do when they're not paying a bill, right? When they're coming in your home and they're not following the rules and regulations, you're establishing a bad habit for them to exercise in the relationships of their future. And it's imperative that we really be conscious of that so that we can prepare them to be some law-abiding citizens and grow up to have some respect. Me, I still open doors for women, all women, for my granddaughters, for whether they 3, 5, 15, whether they 30 or whatever the case may be. I open doors because the relationship that I had with my mom and my grandmother and my aunts, they always made sure that I was a gentleman and I conduct myself accordingly. And so those are the relationships that I had, and it made a big difference in my life today. I'm not going to put my hands on a woman. I ain't gonna say that I never did that, because my father, I saw the relationship my father had with my mom. At one time, I thought it was okay to hit a woman because my father was doing it. This is the relationship that I saw, and I thought that it was okay. And I saw other families doing it too, but I thought these was just part of relationships. And I had to really get an understanding on how important relationships are, and what happens when you don't really pay attention to those around you, how the relationships affect them. We talking about childhood traumas and dramas and things of that nature. You know why? It comes from the relationships that they had with different people. What about a kid who's been molested? Come on, his relationship with adults is not going to be good if it was an adult that molested him. If it was a boy molesting a boy, then the boy is not going to have a good relationship man on man. He's going to be confused. We're talking about all these things that are very, very important. If like even in schools, if you have a teacher that doesn't have a good relationship with her classroom, then the kids are not going to be eager to learn. So relationships are very, very important with the young people, and for us to understand that we set the tone for their tomorrow through the relationships that they see and experience with us. I don't believe in boys walking around with their pants hanging down. So anytime my grandsons and them around me, if I see that, now I'm blessed because I got four grandsons and not one of them walk with their pants hanging down. I'm gonna tell you, they don't do that. And thank God that my sons, I got one son. I got, he the youngest. Uh, um, he still do it, and sometimes I just want to walk up to him and just pull the pants off of him and tell him, say, Marcus, pull your pants up. But um, that's I guess that's he just in that fad. But to me, I'm talking about the relationships that I have. I had that relationship that I could go up to and say, "Yo, man, pull your pants up," and he understand what I mean. I'm serious, and I'm trying to set a tone for him. So welcome, good evening there, cuz. How you doing? Peace and blessings. So the topic today, handling relationships, and I'm going to give a couple more minutes talking about the children, and then I want to go into a different relationship status that I think we all will be able to relate to. But again, it's important for us to pay attention how we are dealing with the children, our grandchildren. If you're a grandfather and your granddaughter is seeing you treat her grandmother like garbage, she's going to assume that that's the type of relationship she's supposed to have, and she's going to mimic that as she get older. I see it so many times, that we mislead our grandchildren and our children by the relationships that we display. If we want us to find some areas where we're going to set the right tone, pay attention to the relationships that you let them see and experience, because they're going to do exactly, they ain't going to know nothing else. What are they going to do? They're going to follow what you do. I mean, you have a relationship with the drug man. Guess what? 9 out of 10, some of the kids in your family or your friends or whatever see that relationship. Eventually, they're going to start having a relationship too. And the kids, they mimic what you see. I didn't start smoking cigarettes because I just wanted to smoke. My mother and father used to smoke cigarettes, so that's the relationship I saw with them when they was puffing. Hey, I figured, shoot, I want to do that too. And again, relationships is very important when we're demonstrating these things in front of the kids. Okay, so let's just be conscious of where we are, with the relationship which you have with your grandchildren. Sit them down, man, and talk to them. The little girls, when you see her sitting down with her legs open, make her cross her legs and let her know that's how ladies sit. Build that relationship with her, especially the grandfathers. Treat her like a lady when she come through the door. Open the door for her, and have that relationship of respect, so that she would expect that type of relationship when she gets older. Don't let her see you disrespecting her grandmother. Don't let her see you disrespecting your sisters and your brothers and all these type of relationships that you have. I remember one of my kids said to me, "How, Dad, do you expect us to really, really, um, for us to really have a good relationship when we're watching you with your sisters and brother? and y'all relationship is not that good. We look at the relationships and we mimic what we see. And I'm talking about even as adults. So you got to understand that there's something to that. Angela, you said true in some cases. Yeah, you know something? Hey, in most cases, the relationships that you have is going to set the pattern for your household. What type of relation? If you deal with somebody and y'all have a toxic relationship, how does that relationship affect your home environment? How does it make you feel? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like this is a place where you want to be? Do you sit down and just be like, oh man, this is the best. I'm home. It's the relationships that count. And so again, we're going back and I'm talking about the kids right now. The tone is very important for you to set good relationship with the kids and for you to pay attention to what you're doing and what you're exposing. I see little kids on Facebook and on Twitter and all this, and they talking all crazy. Now, I'm gonna show you how powerful relationships are. I was watching just recently uh, on Instagram, and they've showed it several times. This little young guy was on there talking with Steve Harvey, and a few of y'all probably saw him. And he was talking about his pop, and his pop is his grandfather. And you can tell that him and his grandfather had this unique relationship because he was on stage conducting himself in a way that the relationship that he had with his grandfather prepared him to be something else, something to be proud of, something that's going to be intriguing. I was so tickled. I watched it over and over and over and over and over, and I was so tickled about it. And I looked at how proud his grandfather was. And I assumed that was the mother and father was sitting down there. I don't know because they didn't really focus on it. But Pop, man, the relationship between him and his grandson, powerful. Because that little boy said, "My Pop, he teach me how to sing. He teach me how to praise the Lord, man." And then he was even talking about show you how you pay attention. He even started talking about his Pop having to take his medicine, that he didn't have to use his walker. See, here are the things that we don't pay attention to, they are paying attention to in the relationship. So it's important for us to understand the relationship with our kids and how we go about it. Okay, let's change that tone up a little bit. Let's go into relationships as adults. How do we deal with each other? How do we do it? Let's do with siblings, the siblings, brothers and sisters. How about those relationships? How about what's your position? I always grew up. This is what I believe. I believe that the oldest in the family supposed to get the most respect because most of the time the relationship from them, they had to go through all the battles. And when the ones that come behind them, what happens is they kind of get it easier because the relationships that the older one had, they kind of set the tone for things. And here we have a lot of individuals that really do not have the proper relationships with their sisters and brothers. We look at each other, man. We can be mad at each other for the pettiest things, but you can make up with the person across the street, or the girl down the road, or the man that's locked up in jail. These things. But I'm talking about siblings, brothers and sisters. How we can be so mad, and we don't look at the relationships that we build among each other. That is very, very important. How do we deal with them? Is it important to keep the bloodline strong and for each one of you to be able to communicate on a positive note in a relationship that will expand through the family? And these relationships, a lot of us have that, we need to pay close attention to. How you treat each other. Because guess what? The relationships that you have, sisters and brothers, your nieces and nephews are paying attention to them. And even your friends. A lot of girls know, I can break that brother, them two brothers up if I get with the one of them, then get with the other one. But if the brothers have that type bonding relationship where they lock horns like this, man, and they got each other's back, then that girl knows that the relationship that the brothers have that they can't mess with. She said, my sister friend and I tried smoking a cigarette, choked to death, never again. Yeah. See what I'm saying? So we talking about different people, here. So the relationship, I really wanted to have like four brothers, maybe five. I wanted to have a lot of brothers. So, I remember this family called the Pollard Boys, from Alexandria, and I used to watch their relationship. And they had a relationship that if you mess with one, you had to mess with all of them. And I used to admire that. I really did. They was a family of brothers, man. I don't know if they had any sisters. I don't recall, but I know that they had. It was a few of the brothers, and the relationships that I used to see them that they used to share with one another was amazing. And I'm sure that they had their spats. But one of the things that I know growing up is that you knew that they was a tight clique. You know that they was a tight unit because everybody knew the Pollard Boys, and they knew that their relationship as brothers was tight. And so these things are very, very important. I know some sisters that I'm not gonna call these people name out to put them out, out there like that. But one, it was two sisters, man. Both of them was gorgeous, and one of them I was just cold blooded in love with. She was my heart. And I used to watch their relationship. They was always when we was coming up. They was always together. They always had good relationships with each other. So that the relationship I had with the sister that I was calling my girlfriend, I had a good relationship with her sister because of the relationship that we had. And so when I looked at them and I saw them as siblings, how they connected with each other, I just thought that was so cool because most of the time when they was coming up, if you saw one, you saw the other one. And so we talk about the relationships with sisters and brothers is really, really important. So, some of us out here that's having these issues, man, let it go, let it go, let it go. Understand that the relationships that you have, it's up to you. You manage them. You can make them work. Sometimes it's not going to be good ones. Sometimes it's going to be a struggle, but you just got to manage it, pray over it, give it to God, and forgive. Don't let them go to the grave carrying those negative energies in a relationship. So she said, let's say doing your thing. Oh, peace and blessings to you. So again, I want to talk to you. This is really handling your relationship is important. You got sisters. Let me tell you something. I know some sisters that are so tight that when you saw one, you saw the other one. They was all doll babies. Then I saw some sisters they couldn't even stand each other, and I thought that was the worst thing. Why you don't like your sister? What kind of relationship is that? And believe it or not, that stuff curries on. It curries on. And so we gotta understand, look at our relationships. How do you handle your relationship? How do you handle them now? We talking about sisters and brothers right now. Let's flip it. Let's go into relationships in the personal relationships. I'm talking about with loved ones who you had um, marriages, and that was your girlfriend, your boyfriend. What about those relationships? One of the relationships that I really, really, it puzzled me, that women who had babies by guys, most of the time, if I'm wrong, somebody jump in. But most of the times when you have baby by guys because you really like him and you want to carry his gene on, and in the relationship, when y'all having sex, man, y'all having unprotected sex, you already know, man, it's a great chance I might get pregnant. And a lot of you do it on purpose, man and woman, right? And you have these relationships, and then after the baby come, all of a sudden y'all can't stand each other. What kind of relationship did you have in the beginning? What kind of relationship did you have? Was it really, really a mature relationship? Was it? Because something that puzzles me is that these women and men, let's go for the women first, had this relationship with these guys who ain't worth two pennies. You're having babies by them, and then you want to know where you at after you done gave birth to the child. And you didn't really build a strong relationship in the beginning. How do you handle relationship? Think about that. How did you handle it? How should you handle it? And what would you tell your child when they come to you and tell you, "Oh, ma, I'm thinking about having sex for the first time, and this guy, I really like him." Wouldn't you tell them to one, take their time and build a good foundation, a good relationship? Wouldn't you want to do that? And then this is what get me. So if you laid down and you had a baby by somebody, or this is guys, you impregnated a woman, and you have the audacity to let that seed develop and come into this world, and then you don't pay attention to the relationships that y'all have that's affecting the child. The relationship that y'all two have comes together like this to the child. And that is so important because the child start to come up not understanding relationship themselves. So many of them, they was like, well, my mom got 3 kids and 3 baby daddies. Come on, that doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to beat up on anybody, but I'm just trying to tell you, you got to think about these relationships when you're having them. Guys, why you want to have a physical relationship with a woman, unprotected sex, give her a baby, and she don't even wipe her underarms, huh? Or you go in her kitchen and her kitchen dirty, or the bathroom is filthy. Every now and then when you lay beside her, breath stinking, their underarms would smell it. That ought to tell you something. Those relationships like that, man, are not relationships that's really on a good note. And you ain't gonna see them go far. I'm talking about relationships that are not studied and developed. How do you handle your relationships? Those are so important. And a lot of us, what happen is after we've been with a person for a while, then they don't want to talk to you. But one time they loved you. One time, they said you was their world. What happened in the relationship? How did you handle it? A lot of us won't go back and deal with the truth of the relationship because it wasn't a relationship in the beginning. A lot of us just was reacting, responding. Oh, damn, she looked good. Didn't even worry about if she changed her drawers every day. It's like that. Same thing with a girl. She don't know if he go home and take a shower. She don't know if he brushes teeth because all she did was just jump right in, not understanding the relationship that they were developing. And what happens? Then they end up getting a baby, and what happens? The baby starts to suffer from the relationship. How do you handle the relationships? We have to get to a point where we understand relationships are very, very, very important. If you're going to be abusive to your woman and your daughter is seeing that, she's going to allow a man to be abusive to her based on the relationships that she see her father display, and she's going to be also looking at the relationships that she see her mom accept. These things are so important. And the same thing with the guys. So that's what I'm saying in these relationships, man, we've got to be conscious of how we handle them. And what is it that you want out of them? Know what you want out of the relationship before you get into it. Know how you're going to build the relationship. Relationships is almost like a brick wall. If you're building a brick wall and you're trying to build a strong foundation, I'm going to take this one from Maria Price. She was talking about the 3 little pigs. So let's say this. The first relationship is built with what is it, straw? It's built with straw. That relationship can go up in flames anytime, right? That relationship can go up in flames anytime. And then you got the other relationship. I don't know. I'm just gonna go straight to let's try some wood. Okay, so we had the straw. Let's get some wood. I forgot the little pig story. It's been so long, but you got the wood, but you don't put the right nails in it. So after a while, the wood start to warp, and then you got air coming in and situation because you're not building a good strong relationship. But when you got that relationship that's built like bricks, you're using the right mortar to do and build brick by brick, not just putting it on, throwing it on there, but you take one brick, you build one level of the relationship as you go, and you start to build a foundation. What happens? You build a strong relationship that you can sit back and you can really, really enjoy and be able to look back on. One of the things that bother me, that's with my kids and my grandchildren. I want my kids' mother to know, guess what? I still love you. I love you. I may not be in love with, the ones that, I'm no longer with, but I still love you. I had children by you. And the relationship that I had then is still the one that I look and I remember. And a lot of us got to go past that negative relationship and look at the positive and think about the good things so that you'll be able to move forward and have a relationship in your future that'll be so much better. That's one of the things that I have done. I've looked at all my past relationships and not being judgmental on the parts of the other person, but looked at the relationship that I built and the one that I put forth to make me be the man that I am today. I'm trying so hard to move in the right direction. Not saying I'm perfect because I mess up here and there. But you got to think about this in your love relationships. You know, you get married. What kind of relationship do you have in your marriage? Is it the same one that you have when you was trying to get in them draws, men? And is it the same relationship, ladies, when you was luring them over there to get in the draws? Come on, this grown up talk here. I don't think there's no kids on here. And if it is, my apology, but I'm keeping it there. This real talk today, handling relationship. I'm talking to the people who can really, really understand this and they can comprehend. I'm telling you right now, you got to be thinking about this when we're in the relationships. Think about how you started, how you want to end. Think about how you want to build. Do you build a relationship on lies and deceit? Because if that's the case, guess what? That's what you're gonna have throughout your relationship. I don't care if you're together 15 days or 15 years. If it started out with a lie, guess what? It'll end up in a lie. It'll be just like that. So some of these things you have to work on in these relationships. So I just want to tell people to think about how it's going in your relationships. Think about how you deal with the relationships. Get to a point where you build positive relationships even on your jobs. You got to think about the different people, how you conduct yourself with people. How do you build relationships with your the guy who's in the same office with you, or the guy who have an office next door to you, or your supervisor, or your branch chief, or the director? How do you build these relationships, and how do they build relationships with you, or the pastor in the church? How is the pastor? What is the relationship with? If every woman that he see, is he kissing on every woman he see? Oh, how you doing, Miss Molly? You know, how you doing, Miss Jackie? Huh? What kind of relationships is he having? What kind of relationships are they building? All of these things are important for us to pay attention, and we understand the relationships that we build, the relationships we start, is how we're in. If you come into a relationship with respect, guess what? It's going to end on a respectful level, because a person to have enough respect to come to you and say, you know what, I love you, and everything is sweet, but this relationship ain't working, so I just think we should just be friends. See, those are good relationships that you start out with. What about your relationship with yourself, even with your own body? I'm talking about, what kind of relationship do you have that you're abusing yourself? How do you handle a relationship with yourself? If you're an alcoholic, if you're out here drugging, and if you're beating on people or letting somebody beat on you, what kind of relationships are those? Huh? This today topic, handling your relationships. You got to think about your relationships and how you go about them in order for you to be able to seek some peace of mind. One of the things I always told my wife, and I still tell her today, I want you to learn how to read me. Read me, so in our relationship, when I'm down or I'm going downhill, she knows to get up under me and push me back up so that I start going in the direction I'm supposed to be. When we have relationships like that, guess what? We keep building with each other. We build strong foundations that even when things get rough with us, we have a good relationship to stand on. How do you handle your relationships is really important. What about your business relationships? I have a lot of people that I network with, and I be really tickled with them, because some of them, they say that they have good working relationships with them, but guess what? They just as selfish in certain areas. All it is all about them. The relationship that we build is not a relationship that's equal. One of them think I'm supposed to be here, the other one think they supposed to be there, when really both of them is down here. And if they built a good strong relationship, that's what they could do. They actually could just build that relationship and just start to lock in and just start to build and build and build, and they start to build in that foundation. They keep rising, and they rise with that power, that good power that you be able to sustain the trials and tribulations that may come within your relationships. That's what's important. You know, when it all come down to it, building good foundation in your relationships are very, very important. This doesn't take a rocket science just to realize that. It just takes a little bit of common sense for you to take the time to think about the relationships that you had. You know, my father didn't have a real good relationship with me. So you know something, my boys are bigger than me, but I love hugging my boys. But if my father didn't have that kind of hugging relationship with me, and it makes a big difference. And I can feel my boys, they hug me back, they love their pops, you know, and that's the relationship that we have. And that's what I like, even with my granddaughters. I want my granddaughters to know I'm going to treat them with a firm hand and let them know I'm not to be played with. Don't play with me because I'm going to be the one that's going to jump out there to take a bullet for you. The relationship I have with you, you're going to be acting like a young lady, or you're not going to have a relationship with me. You're going to move on. That's just the way it is. And I'm sure that a lot of us move like that. But what about the ones that don't? What about the ones who really don't care about the relationship? You're setting everybody up for self-destruction. You're setting them up for self-destruction. So let's concentrate on these relationships that we have. How do you handle them? Now, come on. We got a few more minutes. You know I got to go there. What kind of relationship do you have with our Lord and Savior? What kind of relationship do you have? I'm not going to tell you anything that I'm not experiencing. What I'm experiencing, I'm building a good relationship, a spiritual relationship, and I'm seeking the wisdom and knowledge so that I know how to treat other people. I know how to treat myself. I know how to prepare myself for the day when I can look at my relationship with my Creator, Yah, and I can say, man, I've been doing real good. I did all right. I built a relationship where, between me and the Holy Spirit, I can sit back and say, man, I'm not a bad person, man. It's not where they're going to say, oh, he was born and then he died. And they say, man, how did he die? No, the relationship that I'm building, and I'm building especially on this level of my spiritual growth, is the relationship. How did he live? What was he doing? Who was he dealing with? What kind of person, what kind of relationship did you have with this guy? It's a lot of people, man. They're going to be able to say, right, they had a pretty decent relationship with me. I know that because I'm a pretty good person. I'm going to say that publicly. I am. I ain't saying I haven't done some things wrong. I have. I've asked God to forgive me, and some of the people that I've done some foul things to, I went to him and asked him, say, please forgive me, because I'm not perfect. And so, but I built that relationship of, forgiveness and understanding, and letting them know, yo, that, I'm working on a spiritual level where I'm trying to build a relationship where I'm respected and looked upon in a positive way. Let me tell you something. I come on here to build a good relationship with you. I'd be hoping that in the process is somebody that'll hear this message and they set somebody down and say, listen to this man. Listen to what he has to say. Listen, because it's all about building a relationship. People to people. That's you, me, and them. We have to build good relationships. People, nobody really wants to be by themselves. Everybody needs love. Everybody wants to be together with somebody. They always say is, oh, it's somebody for us, so everybody in the world. That's that one person for that other person. I seen some people, I was like, oh my goodness. That's all I said was, oh my goodness. And next thing I know, I said, damn. Because guess what? They got somebody. They have a relationship that was built. And it was built in a way that was magnificent. And then their relationship is so unique that it doesn't matter what the other people are saying, because they built that good relationship. And most of the time, when you have a good foundation relationship with God, yeah, I'm telling you, your relationships move in the direction of peace, love, and joy. And so I want you to look at your relationships. Look at the relationship with your children, your grandchildren. Look at your relationships in your marriage. Look at how you treat each other. Look, if you don't like each other anymore, don't stay in a toxic relationship. because it's not you're not having a good relationship with yourself or with the other person. Move on. Look at the relationship with your sisters and your brothers. You know, I come to this realization. You know, you don't have to force yourself on nobody. You know what I know for real? Everybody who really knows you, they know what type of person you are, and they know what type of relationships you like to have. And if you a cruddy person, then guess what? They're gonna say, "Yo, most of these relationships is cruddy." That's what they're gonna say, because it's gonna show. But if you're a person that really have good relationship first, first a good relationship with our Creator God, your energy is going to be on a positive, and it's going to be something that people are going to respect. Work on your relationships. Work on relationships with yourself. Don't be so abusive to yourself. You know, you could be your biggest enemy. You know, a lot of people don't even realize they have no relationship with themselves, let alone with the Creator. They don't have a relationship with their children, let alone with themselves and the Creator. They don't have a good relationship in their marriage, let alone with themselves and the Creator. They don't have a good relationship with their neighbors, let alone with themselves and the Creator. When you look at the relationships all around you and pay attention to them, you start to think about this. How do you want to be treated? If you go in a relationship lying all the time, guess what? Believe me, most people already know when you're lying. They know if you're a thief. They know if you're a cheat. They know if you're smart. They know if you're credible. These are the relationships that you build. Most of the people know, man, I am the type of person, I like things, I like it nice. I like to do things, and I love helping people. That's the relationships that I've been building pretty much all my life. What about you? What kind of relationships are you dealing with? What kind of relationships are you having? How are you building your relationships? Are you doing them with straw, with plywood? Are you using bricks? Are you putting them where you're really building a strong foundation? Think about your relationships and know this: relationships is very important in all areas. When we build relationships with one another, it is a reflection of who you are. You know, if you building a relationship behind bars, Jack, hey, you're building that criminal relationship. If you're an entrepreneur and you're building those business relationships, guess what? People see you just like that, and they want to build relationships with you. If you're the type of person that walk up and smile and laugh and joking, people love those relationships. They cling to that. It's very important. So I just I'm hoping that this message with you about relationships will mean something. I came in. Uh, I came in today. Um, just think about all the relationships that I've had and the relationships I'm building. I had a little experience today, and I thought about the relationships that I had with two individuals, right? And I realized in the relationships now, so put me in the middles, okay? So I'm gonna use three. So this two right here, but this one is me, right? This is the other person. This is the other person, okay? And I realized in the relationships, I was like, damn, something wasn't going right. And one of the individuals, I was wondering what kind of relationship we really have, because this individual wants me to be deceitful. What kind of relationship do we really have? Do we have a relationship of respect? Do we have a relationship of love or friendship? When I thought about it later on. I said, man, the relationship with the one person is not as unique and on the level with the other person. And I realized that one of the person really don't have a good relationship with me when they're not respecting me to be honest or to be the stand up person. It's just something that I had to deal with. But I thought about that in a relationship. What kind of relationship did I have with both of these people? And I was like, man, here my name came up in in the situation, and I said, well, the relationship, honestly, that I have, it was a good one. So it was a good one. Um, so I just want to say, thank you for all of us. This is somebody calling me who I have a good relationship. Barbara, hold on, Barbara. Guess what? I am on I'm on people to people right now. Now I'm just I'm gonna show y'all. So this is a friend that now we talk about relationship. We talk about relationship, right? So I'm telling you, when you have good relationship with people, they will come at you and they will expect certain things from you. So, hey Barbara, I'm gonna have to call you back because I'm coming out of here. I see him out there. And look at that. Look. Can y'all see it? This is a relationship I have with Barbara Jones from out of Washington, D.C. She called me to share every time there's something going on good. Look at them ladies out there doing what they do. I don't know if you can see that really good, but this is what I'm talking about, having good relationships. This is what it's all about. So, hey, Barbara, I'm going to have to cut you off, babe. I'll call you back. But y'all work with me. So I'm still having a problem. Sometimes, man, me and this phone. Okay. Yeah, they still there. Let me see. I don't know. Okay. I cut it off. Did y'all see the relationship I have with my phone? I can't even halfway work it. But to everyone that was joining in with me today, man, I just want to say thank you. God is good. I hope you're having a good relationship. And just remember, always think about the people around you, how you treating them. Don't let the relationships go bad. Put the relationships where you focus on the good things. Let the relationships mean something. Let the just work on your relationships with your sisters and your brothers, your children, your neighbors, your co-workers. Get it to the point where you have beautiful relationships. The topic today: handling your relationships. How are you handling them? Peace and blessings to you. This is People to People, Power to Power, Positive People. Your host, Rodney Grimes. Yes. People to People. It's the People Podcast of the DMV. Look at Barbara. I'm going to have to call her back. Hey, Barbara.